So anxiety disorders are very common. It is estimated that 19 million people in the United States currently have some form of an anxiety disorder. Many signs and symptoms associated with anxiety affect your thinking and have physical health implications as well, as you can see here by looking at some of the items listed on the slide. So the onset of anxiety disorders can actually occur at a very young age, and people with anxiety disorders are 6 times more likely to experience mental health disorders. If you have an anxiety disorder, you are 3 times more likely to have a suicide attempt, and anxiety is also associated with other very serious health problems.
One instance of a very serious health problem are heart attacks, and the risk goes up substantially if you have high anxiety levels. Up to this point, we've talked about anxiety as a single subject, but anxiety consists of many different disorders, and we're going to talk about 6 different ones. There's generalized anxiety disorder, characterized by unrealistic worry and tension. Then you've got panic disorder, characterized by very sudden onset, and you might feel as if you're choking or having a heart attack. And there's OCD, which most people are probably familiar with. You just have this impulse that there's something that you have to do a certain way, and certain rituals and routines that you have to do. Okay. And it doesn't end with these 3. The 3 other ones are PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, which most people are fairly familiar with. It usually can be caused by a trigger like fireworks or something like that, can make you relive the event all over again. Another anxiety disorder is SAD, or social anxiety disorder. It's characterized by fear of being judged by others. It occurs quite often in younger people, like in school situations, pretty often. And the last item, anxiety disorder, are specific phobias, which most people are probably familiar with due to watching different movies like arachnophobia, spiders, heights, flying. And I think we probably all know somebody that's at least got one of those. So, I know a few people myself. So how is a person diagnosed with an anxiety disorder? Well, let's just keep it simple. A doctor has to diagnose you, and there may be a depression assessment as well. And sometimes there will be lab work done, but that's just to rule out other conditions that may exist.
The remaining slides will discuss about what causes anxiety disorders, and also we'll talk about the prevention a person can do to prevent that from happening. So to begin with, let's go ahead and answer the question on the slide. What causes anxiety disorders? There are many studies out there that are being conducted by medical experts, and to find exactly what causes anxiety disorders. And what they have found is that there's no exact cause of it, but rather they found that the cause of anxiety disorders are associated with several factors, and these factors are brain chemistry, genetics, and environment. And associating brain chemistry to anxiety disorders, what their explanation of that is that inside our brain there is natural chemical interactions, and if there's an imbalance of that interaction, it can trigger anxiety. And those chemical interactions that we're talking about is neurotransmitters, and it's getting popular now since the advancement of technology. So those words coming together now. And the genetics, in a simple term, is just like passing a trait from your loved one to you. So, let's for example, if one of my parents has this kind of disorder, and there's more likely that I'll get that, or 25% of that, or maybe not. But if 2 of my parents has that kind of disorder, then the likelihood of me getting that is high. So I'm high risk of that. And the other is environment. The environment talks about the trauma in events of our life or that person's life, and also the stressful events of life. The stressful situation talks about, like for example, if the person has a job and is paying for a house and 2 cars, and then next week he found out that he get terminated from the job. So that anxiety will, continues on. We're not talking about just like 1 week or 2 days. This anxiety, since it's a job, it involves with job, it can last for a long time. And that anxiety, if not going to stop, or if he can't find anybody, if that person cannot find anybody to help him, or it might be part of his life. So, the same thing as being traumatized, childhood, when there's a child being traumatized, something's not life and exposed to, different situation, but it can trigger anxiety. The anxiety will kind of like intensify, so that's one of those. What's the good thing about this, knowing if you're high risk or not, is that you can use that as your advantage, because if, for example, I am a high risk of that, and knowing that I have to present a presentation just like this, or I have a big exam, I have to do something before I go in. I need to do exercise, as was talked about, or go to sleep early, or study materials. In that way, I won't be able to get anxious or lessen the anxiety. So next slide. How do doctors treat anxiety disorders? Well, there are many ways to prevent this situation or lessen the anxiety disorder. One of the discussion is psychotherapy that a person can do. What it does is that you see someone like professional experts or medical expert sit down with you, and he's going to do an interview and find out what triggers anxiety and pinpoint, or what's the problem. And this is the time where the professional will tell you what to do. And this is the time they'll tell you, hey, you are high risk of this, and you need to do exercise, and before you do that thing. So that's one of those psychotherapy things. And medications, this is the last resort, so I'm going to talk to one later on. Can you do it on this slide? The other action that you can do is the complementary and alternative treatment. Those are doing yoga, acupuncture, and meditation techniques. These techniques are, easy to do really, but to begin with, you probably need someone to guide you in doing it. So, yoga and meditation can be done easily by us, but acupuncture, you need to just see someone to do that, unless you can apply yourself. So, going back to medications, I say that medications last, resort, because, medication is something that will make you dependent on it, and the side effects on it also. And, if you can do the yoga or other things, you can do this first. And there are several kind of medication that they're giving out there. The most popular, and we've probably heard a lot of times, is the benzos. Those are the Ativan, Xanite, Clomidin, Valium, and also the sedatives, or Restoril, and also other things. And also the other SSRI and SNRI. Okay, let's go ahead and next to the next slide. Next question is, can someone with anxiety disorders still live a successful life? Yes, according to the study, like 90% of anxiety can be treated. So I don't know if you're familiar with these people, but they're most of them are actors, and this guy right here looks like me, But I saw this guy on TV being interviewed, Johnny Depp, and I can see him really kind of like doing this, and I know it's anxious someone for some reason. I said, he's an actor, why he's anxious about it? So he can live successfully with that. Is there that? I guess that's all. This is our references, and if you have any questions, feel free to do so.
Thank you.